So today I'm doing a tribute piece for the beloved Siddha, Siddha, an incredible person, an amazing friend of mine. And I'm just doing the SketchUp, as you can see, and it's going to be a little bit tricky with the color placement theory on this one. So the color scheme is really bright colors, really playful, very happy. So I've got some orange, some pink, some bright blue, some nappy, a little bit of green, also some chocolate. So very bright, very happy, playful colors, and that's the color scheme. So it's going to be very different color placement theory to what I'm used to. Now, one idea I had was to do a little bit in every area, which is what I usually do, but I'm actually not going to go with that because I think this style and this size of wall and these particular colors is not really quite going to work like that. So now that I'm here at the wall and I'm actually working it and I'm looking at the paint that I've got, I'm probably going to use a combination of horizon placement and upside to bottom side contradictions. So I'm going to start with the lightest colors at the top and then work my way down to a certain point and then create another horizon. So I'm probably going to put the blue at the bottom, and I'm also going to skip certain letters with the fill so that I can come back and put a different color in there so that it's not a horizon all the way through. And of course I'm going to start with the fill with the brightest colors with the largest spaces. So that way I can pace how much paint I'm going to use in which area and how much of each color is going to be in each area. So that's pretty much the fill idea, right? So it's the horizon skipping letters with bright colors first in big areas first. And then the idea with the outline is going to be that there's going to be a few different outlines. I'll probably use mid colors for outline. So the blue, and I've got a little bit of purple. And it's sort of going to be like this question of whether I put a certain outline color with certain fill colors. So for example, I can put dark blue outline wherever there is light blue fill, or chocolate outline wherever there is orange fill, or so on and so forth. Or it might be that I do some outline in some area and a different one in another area, irregardless of what the fill color is. And I've also got a black and a white, so I might do some white outline. So I might create a rule with certain color outline for certain color fill, and then the rest will be white, and then the black will be the last thing. So the black is sort of tricky because I'll have to see how it goes on. So I might do a black key line, or I might use the black for a shadow in certain areas, or I might use it for the inside of the outline of the mid colors, which would work as kind of a shadow. So it is a bit of a process where I've got this idea and I have to see how it's going to be placed. And the other thing is I do also want to keep a lot of the roller that I've put on because that's such a nice acid green. It's like this yellowy, bright yellowy green. So I probably want to keep most of that. So there probably might not even be any background. I might just do some dots here and there for background, or maybe some love hearts. So yeah, that's the idea. And I'll also keep using the fat cap just to keep the speed going, just because it's quite a large wall and I can get some nice blends that way. So what I actually ended up doing, as you can see, is the SketchUp in acid green, which was pretty much the same color as the background, as the roller, and then a second SketchUp in white, and then I started from the top and worked my way down with light colours. And I skipped the top of the I and a little bit of the top of the first D and the second side of the H and the top of the A to put that nappies colour in. So from the top down it goes that light beige, and then the mid orange, which is called Tomorrow, and then the dark orange, which is called Atoms Mega Blast, and then there's that nice pink, we call that Magic, and then Purple Rain, which is that darker pink, and then Galaxy for just a little bit, and then the black. And I really did need to put the nappies in there because I would have run out of Tomorrow and Atoms Mega Blast, and I actually also ran out straight away of that lighter beige. And then by that time I could see that I hadn't even used any blue yet, so I decided to put the blue as the background. So that would mean that I completely abandoned the idea of having blue for any of the outline. And the background is quite reduced, right? It doesn't even cover around all of it, so it still maintains a lot of that acid green, which I really like. And the horizon placement of the colours really does allow for a little bit of paint in one level, right? There's only a very small amount of black, very small amount of Galaxy, very small amount of that dark pink, and the colors that I used the most of were in the middle, right? The Atoms Mega Blast and the Magic. And then with light blue as the background, I was able to use the royal blue as a shadow. So if I had have used royal blue as the background, then the black would have been the shadow. And at this stage, I'm just sort of filling it out, getting the fades nice with the fat cap, and even doing a little bit of a fade back. So the initial fade is with the fat cap to get the larger spray, and then a little bit more. And then here, I'm finishing off that fill with just a little bit of white. So white as fill goes with nappies. So that's another rule that I've created. And usually I would, at this stage, if it was more of my normal sort of style, I would do a black outline on this. And I would turn it quite dark, and I'd put some pretty heavy shadows in. Oh yes, and this is the chocolate. So these dots was Camino and chocolate, and I put those across the piece. And I didn't do too many of those because I knew I would be doing more doodads inside the fill later on. So yeah, I decided not to do black, but white outline to keep it quite bright. And you do have to make sure the fades on the fill are quite nice before you do the outline, because the sharp points are going to be in areas of the fill where you can do cutbacks, but the lines that go over where a fade is, you can't do a cutback, because otherwise you're going to then have parts of the fill color spraying out to make a nice fade over the outline color. And then you see, because there's parts near the nappies where it's white fill and white outline, I've had to sort of bring a line up to define that edge. This is also a different brand of white that I'm used to. So I'm usually used to the black line. But this was loop or hardcore, something like that. So it smelled different. And it also came out quite different. Just Just takes a bit of practice. So yeah, this is also another example of bringing tomorrow up around the beige. So the lighter beige is well defined against the white. Whenever you have two very bright colours next to each other, you want to sort of put something between them. And then I wasn't systematic with the shadow either, so there's quite a few times I missed that. That inside of the S even has a sort of small amount of extra mass happening. Sort of breaks the rule because it's all single mass letters, except for the middle of the H and the lower part of the middle of the S. And this part is sort of cleaning up the outline with wherever there are lines with the fill that can be cleaned up. Some of the time you want to actually leave it. Some of the time you can fix it up. I also wonder sometimes if doing a tribute piece, it's sort of like channeling something from the person. Like something from their personality or their essence comes through. Maybe the colour scheme, you know. But it is also like, I don't think about the person when I'm doing it. It's more just concentrating on the process. And it is tricky to do a tribute piece because it's letters you're not used to, and you sort of have to think of how it balances and what they would like, and then you're trying to hope they like it, and if it's not good enough, then it's not good enough. But yeah, I don't know if there's any channeling. I don't know if it's really like that. I think it's just something nice to try, something different. And then I did also see, you can see at this stage, I put some grey scale into the white. So I mixed just a squirt of black into a can of white and put that in the 3D. And then just a little bit more black into that same can to make it darker again. So it's a 2-scale grey scale in the white. And if I was probably going to be absolutely perfectionist about it, I would have made that grey scale more gradual. Like the darkness of it is probably a little bit too dark. But even just with that small bit, you can see it's got that shimmering look to the 3D. And then here, just adding some extra chocolate dots. And cutting them back with a line. And at this stage it's sort of finished because it's all filled in and it's all clean. But the doodad process, right? So I'm adding these little black shapes, which is where I bring some of the lower fade fill colors up to the top. So these black doodads are sort of that extra step that makes it sort of more vibrant. And it's tricky, it's really tricky because you can overcook it because you're introducing new motivic content, right? It's a new shape. It's a new structure. And then I'm also bringing through some of the galaxy, putting galaxy in the dots, putting galaxy around the inside of the outline, just on that lower bit. And then bringing up Atom's Mega Blast with some more love hearts. It also helps to have the love hearts in different directions, making them look like they're floating through the air. I mean, there's also an echo of some of the love hearts in the blue. And then bringing nappies through as well, just where it's next to the shapes that have it. So it's day 3 at this spot, and I've just come back in the nice early morning to finish off this piece. And I'm going to fix up just a few little details, a few little mistakes. It'll only take me a few minutes, but it's taken me quite a while to spot them. So I've had a bit of a look at the photos and go through and just see where the different things are that I need to fix up. So these are just little things that help to make it that extra little bit crispy. So let me point this out to you. We've got a spot here that doesn't have any shadow, whereas all the parts around it have shadow. So you can see that'll need a fix up. And then there's also this part here which doesn't have the drop 3D. So technically speaking, because the 3D goes this way on this part of the structure, it would also be here. So I'm going to fix that up. I'm also going to bring this part here just a little bit out. And then there's also a little bit here which doesn't have the line to fill out the 3D. So everywhere on the 3D, or there's shadow, there's an outline. So I've just forgotten to do that on the inside of this A. So I'm going to fix that up. So the whole thing was done over 3 days, took 5 hours altogether, and the first day was mostly just rolling and SketchUp, and the last day was just that little final touches. I really only wanted to be painting it in the morning because the afternoon sun is a bit tricky on that wall. And I put the date, just the year. And that is one for Siddha. It's a pretty colourful piece. It's a pretty happy style, pretty different to what I'm used to, but I like it.